Just not liking that. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, you can turn it off, keep it off, or turn it back on if you want. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
You don't have your glasses tonight. Disappointed.
I do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
They're always close at hand.
Oh, there we go.
Or turn it back on if you want.
And Chris, just
Alrighty.
quickly, the instructions I think you missed. So
You don't have your glasses tonight. Disappointed. I do.
so when it's your turn, Francis will show your slide, and you'll have about a minute to talk about it. In the meantime, you'll just be muted.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, let's get started. So, welcome everybody to the first and maybe possibly the only Storm Chasers social, but I thought it would be a good idea. And welcome everybody that's watching on YouTube. We got about 25 people. Please share this on your social media. And if you have, any questions for any of the Storm Chasers or the, guest presentations, just put in the YouTube comments, and then there'll be a question period. So I guess I'll explain you guys. Before I do, I'm going to close the window. So why did I do this? I wanted to do this because I wanted to kind of mimic what it was like chasing, and then every chaser meets up at a Applebee's or something after the chase, and then we all share our favorite footage or a favorite picture we took from the chase, or sometimes you would see somebody in a random field in Saskatchewan or Manitoba or Ontario, and you'd be like, hey, look at the tornado I got the other day. So that's kind of like what I wanted to do with this social, and I wanted to have like an unfiltered discussion. We could like be free, you can say whatever you want. We don't have sponsors, we don't have to be worried about that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna present there's gonna be 2 guest presentations. Before I do, I'd like to thank my co-host, Scott Kehler, helped me a lot with this event. So Scott's gonna be doing a presentation on the 2021 hail summary across Canada. And then we have Dave Sills from the Northern Tornadoes Project. He's gonna present the tornado tally for 2021. Been an exceptional year. We got 99 tornadoes across Canada and 60 in Ontario, so should be interesting. And then Mark's not in here, but hopefully he'll get in here, and then he's going to kick off the show and tell. And then it's been a busy Ontario season, so he's going to have a bunch of stuff to show. So I'd like to present all our chasers. Sorry if I didn't put the picture that you sent me. I did this a while ago. So you have me, you have Kyle Britton from Alberta, Ryan from Saskatchewan, Jordan from Manitoba, Chris from Alberta, Kyle from Ontario, and Braden from Alberta, Craig from Saskatchewan, Travis from Ontario, Shannon from Manitoba, and then Jenny from Saskatchewan, and Julian from Quebec. So without further ado, let's get into the short presentations, and Dave is going to go first. You've been selected. So Dave is the executive director of the Northern Tornadoes Project. I think everybody knows that here. So if you have any questions throughout his presentation, just go on YouTube and give him a comment, and then we'll have time for that after. So Dave, I'll let you share your screen.
Great. Thanks, Francis, and thanks, Scott, for hosting this. I think it's a great idea. Let's see. I got to figure out how to share the screen, and then we can talk about the tornado season. Let me just hide this controls, and I think we should have no gray boxes. Is that right? All right. So first, a little bit about the Northern Tornadoes Project. I think most of you know it's a project that's been around since 2017. We're trying to detect, assess, document every tornado that occurs in Canada. The first couple seasons, 2017, 2018, were pilot seasons, mostly focused in Ontario and Quebec, but starting in 2019, we've been doing the entire country. And so it's been quite a challenge to do that. To 2021, we've had more than 300 tornado events that were discovered or documented that otherwise would have been missed. And all of the data analyses and reports are all available on our open data portal. So uwo.ca/NTP. Let's see if I can get this to move ahead now. Not sure why I don't. There we go. So we view this as a severe weather community endeavor. So it was founded by Western University and Impact WX, which is a social impact fund out of Toronto. And we have a core team composed of meteorologists and wind engineers. We've got an external research team that covers the US, Canada, and the UK. Strategic partnerships with University of Manitoba, the Weather Network, Instant Weather, Cat IQ. So lots of partnerships, lots of collaborations, lots of working together of people in different groups like meteorology and wind engineering that normally wouldn't work together. We're working in close collaboration with Environment Canada as well. And one of the most important aspects to the project is the crowdsourcing or the citizen science. So all of the input from chasers and from people who observe tornadoes and tornado damage across Canada. And that includes our super contributors. So I think we've got about maybe a dozen now super contributors who've signed on saying that, you know, they're gonna put an extra effort to try to help us find these tornadoes across Canada. So there's really no shortage of enthusiasm here. It's like I said, a community endeavor. So just to show you what NTP has done as far as finding events, this is all of the events, tornadoes, microbursts, whatever, 945 events across Canada since we started the project. And you can see where the clusters are. These are the tornado events. So 335 tornado events over the five summers. And if we start looking at just this year, 2021, that's 259 events in total across the country. So you can see it definitely thins out a lot, especially across the prairies. And if we look at just the tornado events in 2021, as Francis said, we've got 99. And you can see they're mostly clustered around central Ontario, the southern part of northern Ontario, and western and southern Quebec. Very quiet year otherwise. And if we look at just the tornadoes over land, so we're not talking about any tornadoes that are occurring over oceans or over the Great Lakes, that's down to 80. And that I'm just using that because that starting this year, we're counting tornadoes over water. Before that, it was all just tornadoes over land. So this is just kind of comparison in number wise to the older numbers. So 80 tornadoes over land across Canada this year. And if we look at downbursts, we've got 65 recorded. And I've got this red area highlighted up here because we just found a whole bunch of new damage up in far northeastern BC and into the southern part of Northwest Territories. Looks like all downburst damage, like a lot of it, maybe a derecho that we're going over right now. So we're still going over data from this past season. So just some oddities from this past season. There were no tornadoes north of the 49th parallel across Canada between mid-June and mid-August. So this is a 60-day period with the highest historical frequency and not a tornado. And I think that's due mostly to all of the smoke from forest fires drifting from BC across Canada. Also probably has to do with the drought that's on the prairies and so on. But you have to go back to the 1950s before you start seeing years without a tornado in that period on the prairies. And that's when the tornado data starts to become more regular. So it may be unprecedented. Anyway, very, very unusual. No tornado damage in Alberta this year. We had 3 tornadoes that we confirmed, but they were all EF0 default, didn't cause any damage to DIs. Ontario recorded a record number of tornadoes. So 60 over land and over water, 46 just over land, and a record number of EF2 plus tornadoes. Actually, they're all EF2s. 13 plus. We're still going over a number of them that might go up, might stay there. And the third latest tornado on record, November 21st. A couple other things. The first Nova Scotia tornadoes, actually two of them since 1999. The strongest Nova Scotia tornado, EF1, since at least 1980. And then you must have seen the pictures of that tornado that hit Vancouver. That was the first since 1976. Both that one in 76 and the one this year were EF0. And also very rare in November. So yeah, kind of an odd year as far as tornadoes go, just not much happening in the central part of the country. Some odd tornadoes on the coasts, and then in Ontario, a lot of tornadoes going on. And something else, something that Francis and I have been working on for months now, is the update to the National Tornado Database for 1991 to 2020. And so this is the very first look at data outside of the two of us. And you can see this is all by EF scale. So blue is EF0, green EF1, yellow EF2, red EF3, and then you get into some EF4, EF5s. But there's the first look. And that database, we're hoping to wrap it up before the end of the year, and it'll be totally open access, and it'll be available on the NTP site. So that's it from me. I will stop sharing.
And he meant hopefully it'll be ready.
Oh, it will be. Come on. We work so hard. We work so hard to get it done. We're going to get this done.
All right, thanks, Dave. Appreciate that. So now we're going to go into Scott's presentation, if you want to cue that up. So Scott is the president of Weatherlogics, and you can follow him on Twitter here. So Scott, I'll let you share your screen.
Sure, I will bring that up here for you. Does that look okay?
We're seeing I'm seeing the presenter view right now.
Okay, I will try something else.
And all your trade secrets on your desktop background. It looks good now.
Looks good. Perfect. So good evening, everyone. Scott Kehler from Weatherlogics here to present our hail summary for Canada. Compiled the stats and excited to share with you some information about all the hailstorms this year. I'll talk a little bit about some of the big events from 2021, how things broke down by province, and a little discussion about how things compared to previous years. So as Dave alluded to, for the prairies, there was kind of a lot of ups and downs this year, severe weather-wise. We did see a number of significant hail events, but overall severe weather was kind of down, with no tornadoes for that 2-month period in the middle of summer, when normally we both see the most severe weather and the most hail. July is the most active hail month on the prairies climatologically. And with no tornadoes, you would kind of surmise that there probably are fewer supercells, which are typically the storms that produce the largest hail. But nevertheless, there were a number of big events. The first one probably that you would point to was in Calgary on July 2nd. This is a map showing maximum estimated hail size from weather radar. You can see that there were a number of hail swaths on this day. When you get into the green shades, that's kind of the severe, low end for severe. And then when you get into the yellows and oranges, you're talking about kind of golf ball size. So around Calgary on July 2nd, we saw hail as big as about golf ball size. That report was just outside of Calgary, but in the city itself, quite a lot of severe hail occurred, especially I believe it was more on the south end of the city. Then on July 22nd, we saw the first big event in Saskatchewan, which is the first of 3 big ones. There were a couple of really strong storms, the strongest of which passed kind of starting from Moose Jaw, then heading off to the northeast. That storm produced the largest hail of the year with a maximum size of 75 millimeters diameter. I think that was in the Foam Lake area. It wasn't right in the town, I don't think, but it was in that kind of area. And that swath produced significant damage to crops throughout that kind of part of eastern Saskatchewan. Then another major event about a month later, almost exactly a month later, on August 23rd, storm developed near Shaunavon or just northeast of Shaunavon, and then carried on to the east, passing through Moose Jaw and then weakening just before it hit Regina. That storm produced hail as big as 38 millimeters, which is kind of almost ping pong ball size, just underneath that. And also, again, caused a lot of crop damage. I think in Moose Jaw, the primary impacts were more on the north side of the city, so there was some damage in terms of property as well. And then the last big one was August 31st. So like really right at the end of the year and carried into, I think, even the early hours of September 1st. And that one affected south of Moose Jaw through Regina and then east of Regina with maximum hail size 50 millimeters. So that is just over golf ball size. So for that late in the year, you can see from the swath, seeing a lot of yellows, which would be golf ball and up. So a pretty significant event for so late in the summer. And there's a bunch of other hail swaths around that day too. So it wasn't just that one storm, but that was definitely the big one. So despite the limited tornado activity and kind of down year for chasers in some parts of the prairies, there were still some pretty big hail events. Here's another view just summarizing all of the hail reported this summer on the prairies from our database. This database includes reports, so measurements of hailstones that we captured, but also it includes some crop hail claims data that our partner Co-op Hail collected. Now, that Co-op Hail claims data is only in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, so that's why you don't see as much red in Alberta, because we don't have that same data set there at this point. We hope to get it down the road, but you can see in Saskatchewan, lots of areas affected by hail. Every square is a township, which is about 6 miles by 6 miles. And if you're in red, that means a large part of the township was affected by hail. So many townships across Saskatchewan are affected. And for crop insurance, it was quite a bad year. Manitoba was pretty quiet. Crop hail claims, which is a decent proxy for overall hail events, were down significantly and the lowest of the three prairie provinces. And then in Alberta, it was kind of a roughly average year. We don't really have a good idea of what average is, but it's not super active or super inactive. And we did see that one big event in Calgary, and there were some other events that caused some damage on other dates as well. So what did it look like nationwide? Well, climatologically, Alberta is always the most hail prone, and that was the case again this year. The bar graph shows the last 5 years of data, with the darkest bar being 2021. So Alberta was number one. And then in terms of all hail reports, Ontario was actually number two, but bear in mind that includes small hail, like, as small as pea size. And then Saskatchewan 3, Manitoba 4. And one thing I like to point out here are, Quebec is probably number 5 most years. And this year it actually wasn't, it was number 6. New Brunswick was number 5, but Quebec probably climatologically would rank 5th. But New Brunswick actually gets more hail than people recognize. They get a lot of very strong storms there. And if I go to the next graph, which shows severe hail only, you'll actually see that New Brunswick does kind of pop out here. It doesn't see a huge number of severe hail events, but it's not really a province we talk much about at all in terms of severe weather. And it does get a fair bit, definitely comparable to Quebec, where we've seen in recent years a lot of severe weather, especially a number of tornadoes that NDP has identified. So this is to look at the severe hail numbers, and Ontario drops off a bit when it comes to severe hail, but still a number of good events in that category. But the prairies definitely dominate hail, and especially severe hail. So what does the overall distribution of hail look like across Canada over the last 5 years? Well, every dot is one report. So you can see the prairies are pretty dominant in terms of hail. Big gap across Northern Ontario, which is probably similar to the gap in the tornado reports due to the very low population density, and anyone that does live there is packed into cities. So you can kind of pick out Kenora or Thunder Bay where there are reports, but in between there's not a whole lot. And then the QE2 corridor in Alberta, very high density of reports. Same with southern Manitoba and Saskatchewan, southern Ontario and Quebec too. So in a lot of ways similarities to tornado climatology, which is not too surprising. How does this year compare to previous years? Well, the true answer is we don't really know, because historically the hail data in Canada has really not been well maintained. We tend to receive about 1,000 hail reports a year, which is far more than you would look if you went back in older historical databases before we started tracking it. So we don't have enough data yet to really show what normal is for hail. I think as we build up more reports, we will have a better sense, but reports in themselves are not necessarily the best way of doing hail climatology, because it requires somebody to report every event, which is very difficult. Unlike a tornado where it's pretty obvious if one happened or not. With hail, there's so many events, you can never capture all of them. So we really probably need to look at radar to do a better climatology, but that would be a really big project, which we just haven't tackled yet. But in the US, you can see radar climatologies of hail events, and that's probably one of the best ways to see what really goes on. So at this point, we don't know, but based on the decline in tornado activity on the prairies, and also from our data compared to previous years, hail is down. We do think that for the prairies as a whole, it was a slower year hail-wise. So that's my talk. Thanks for listening, and feel free to post your questions on YouTube, as Dave and I will have a quick question period now, and then we will move on to the chasers.
All right, thanks, Scott. Share my screen again. So before I open up to everybody in here in Zoom to ask questions to Dave or Scott, there's a question on YouTube. I see it's for both of you guys, I guess. People want to see your slides, so they want to know if you would make your PowerPoint presentations available after.
Sure.
For a cost.
I can as well. Francis, I'll let you figure out where you're going to put them.
Yeah, okay. So then I'll open up to the panels. If you want to ask a question to Dave or Scott, just unmute yourself and go ahead.
I want to know what Dave thought when Scott said tornadoes were so easy to find.
Yeah, I was. That was an interesting comment. It's
Relatively speaking.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. They're very different, I think, as far as tracking them down and the reports and stuff. So yeah, it's you've got an impressive database there. So that's really nice. I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, there's similar types of projects. The difference is with tornadoes, you might get on a really busy day, maybe a handful or so in a day, whereas we might get 50 just in Calgary in one day. So we're pretty darn busy when there's a hailstorm. And we don't nearly even capture all of them either.
There's another question this one's for Dave. Somebody asked about the Kingsbridge storm. Was that one classified as both overland and water? Assume the Kingsbridge tornado.
Right. So the way we do it is a tornado over land means that it hit land at some point during its lifetime. So that means it could have been over water and then land and over water, or any combination. Whereas our tornadoes over water category is just entirely over water. So the Kingsbridge event coming onshore from the lake, and there was a bunch of events like that coming onshore from the lake this year. So those would all be considered tornado over land.
Okay, and Shannon, you have go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick question for Scott. So you mentioned that the data that you had from the hail came from Co-op. Was that Cooperators Insurance?
Co-op hail insurance. They're a cooperative based in Saskatchewan. They only do crop hail insurance.
Okay. Have you ever tried teaming up with other insurance companies to get data from them as well?
We are working on that. We're partnered with Aviva Canada, not related to hail, but on some other stuff. So we are starting to talk about that. And some other insurance companies who are clients we're also working on.
Okay, if you need a contact or anything, let me know.
I'll definitely be in touch.
All right.
I saw a question as well, Francis, on YouTube. Sorry if I cut someone off. I think one of Dave's slides had a downburst near Winnipeg. Somebody was asking about where exactly that was.
Oh, I don't even have the map in front of me, so I couldn't say.
I think that person was talking about the thing you circled. So I think it was in BC, right?
Yeah, that was out in BC and Northwest Territory.
Okay, maybe they can clarify in the chat what they meant, but
Okay.
And I got word
exactly.
from Mark, so he's had an emergency, so he's not going to show up. So we have a little bit more time if somebody else wants to ask a question. And I see Kyle has his hand up, so go ahead, man.
Yeah, my question's for Dave. So with tornadoes that occur in Northern Ontario that don't actually hit any structures, where it's just usually tree damage, are those only EF2 defaults, or are you guys able to determine if they are anything above EF2 if they don't hit any structures?
Yeah, well, one of the problems we have up there is that the soil is, there's not a lot of soil on the Laurentian Shield, the Canadian Shield. So it makes it easier for the trees to go down. And so we tend to just go with kind of the lower bound with the tree damage indicator. And that doesn't get above EF2 then. So, I mean, you can get to EF3 damage with just trees, but you have to have pretty much everything. No complicating factors. So not saturated soil, not thin soil, all the stuff. It's all got to be just right. So, and the health of the trees has to be good too. So it is hard to get EF3 for trees. So, I mean, we tend to mostly go between EF1 and EF2 then, depending on the damage that we see there. One thing that is coming along though is in the new EF scale standard that Western is helping to develop. It's being developed in the US through the Engineering Society. One of the things that's going to come with that is being able to rate tree damage based on the pattern of tree fall. And in that case, you'll be able to get far higher than EF2. And actually, some of the damage that we've seen forest-wise, and some of the very detailed damage patterns look like they probably would fall into a category higher than EF2 just based on the tree fall patterns. There is this correlation between the tree fall pattern and how strong the tornado is. So anyway, that is coming at maybe 2-3 years from now. The EF scale that'll be part of the EF scale.
Okay, yeah, that's really interesting. Do you guys think that you will revisit some of those past events that occurred in Ontario or Quebec based on that new EF scale?
Yeah, I think there's a number of them that we'll revisit because we will have the data, the high resolution data to go back and look at it. The Brooks Lake event up in Northwestern Ontario from, what was that, a couple of years ago? That certainly will be looked at again because like I said, the tree patterns just look like it would probably fit into maybe an EF3 category more than an EF2.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for that.
I see Travis and Braden have hands raised, but I think, Francis, if you're okay, maybe what we'll do is move to the Chaser panel and we'll come to them first when we get to the discussion after the panel.
Actually, Scott, let's go through their questions because Mark is trying to get in. So
okay,
sure. Let's do that.
Yeah, give Mark some time. Sure. Then I think Travis was first.
Thanks, guys. I was just wondering, Dave, when you were answering that, when you think of tornado climatology and then suddenly you like parachute in a Northern Tornadoes Project type research program, or you implement an update to the Fujita scale that drastically changes the numbers, how does that impact our long-term understanding? Like, obviously, the more we understand, the better. But at the same time, if you're trying to get an overall picture across a period of time, it seems like it would almost be problematic in a way. What's your take on that?
Well, it's not a new problem. If you look at the number of tornadoes over time, say in Ontario, the number of EF2 plus hasn't changed much, but the number of tornadoes has, and lately it's almost going up exponentially. So it's, as the technology changes, as the population changes, as people's interest changes, as radars come online, all of these changes affect the number of tornadoes coming into the database. Even government cutbacks, you can see in the 80s, where there's a little dip in the number of tornadoes. So, all along, there's all these anthropogenic influences in the tornado database. But over time, we are getting closer and closer to hopefully the truth. So yeah, it makes it difficult to get trends out because of all these anthropogenic influences in the database. But like I said, if you kind of limit it to tornadoes that are on the high end, up until maybe the NTP years, that's been a pretty steady number. But we are starting to find a lot more tornadoes in the forests and northern areas that weren't found before, and some of those are EF2 and maybe even higher. So we are starting to see a change even in the significant tornadoes now with NTP looking at those things. But like I said, the climatology is a changing thing. The more we know and the more we collect, it just gets better and better over time. So I'm just expecting that to continue. And when we look at trends, we just do our best to take that kind of thing out as best we can.
Okay, so maybe Braden, you can ask your question now. Mark is trying to get in.
For Dave, I was just curious with that change in the F scale, would you be able to use something like along the lines of with your drone side of things, like a LiDAR attachment on a drone and to develop a point cloud or 3D model of the tree fall? Would that be able to play into the rating of the tornadoes?
Yeah, I don't know if that would improve things for us much. I mean, basically, as far as tree fall patterns, we've got the data we need there. I mean, we've got, even with aircraft data at 5 centimeters, we can see the patterns very clearly. So that's not a problem. Where we are moving into LiDAR is for next year, we're going to get this new backpack LiDAR that you can say an event like Barrie when there's lots of damage. And yeah, we had Francis going door to door for 2 days or something like that, documenting the damage. This will allow someone to just walk down the street and collect point clouds of all of the damage that we could just go over later. And that's going to be something we're going to try for the first time next year. So yeah, LiDAR is coming into it.
Is it by chance an Emerson package?
I don't know. I can't remember it's Connell Miller who's the expert on this in my team. So I'm not sure of the brand name.
I think he's just testing them right now, right? Like he's testing a few different options.
Yep, with the intention of getting one. Yep.
Nice. Cool.
Hey, Mark, you made it. Maybe.
He's still muted at least.
Hey, he's having a rough day. He said like his phone uninstalled it. Oh, there you go.
There. Does it work?
It's working.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thanks. It's been one of those weeks. It's been one of those months, to be quite honest.
Mark needs a drink, so anybody have any suggestions for him?
Yeah. Well, the if we go way back, Dave knows about this. My bathroom ceiling collapsed because of one of the big events that we had here. There was like that really big rain event, and we didn't know, but there was a leak in the roof, so the whole ceiling collapsed in the bathroom. So that has been, and I've been rebuilding it for like months. It's been in just nuts.
All right. Let's move on to the show and tell, I guess. Just make sure that I'm streaming my sound through my computer. And then here, Mark, I found an old picture of you from 2011 that George Kernis took when you were chasing a snow squall in Ontario.
You see that I don't even know what camera that is. Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know if you were doing it for TWN or not then, but I thought that picture was hilarious. So yeah, here's Mark Robinson. He's a storm chaser for the Weather Network. And Mark, you're gonna start it off. So the way that's gonna work is basically I give each of you a minute or so to explain, your season 2021, how it was, or maybe just introduce the video that people are about to see, or whatever you want. So Mark, you do the honors. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what? This year in Southern Ontario was actually wild. I mean, it really was a good year. The one that stands out most to me, there was a couple of really good days. Wasn't necessarily always tornadic, but the one that stands out to me was the big tornado. I've actually lost track of what exact day that was. Francis, you'll probably know, and I know that Dave, you guys will both know that day. This was a massive tornado that started up right near Port Albert, I think it was. Came on shore there, and that was a day, it was as scary as you get sort of in Southern Ontario, because the bloody thing was massive. You couldn't see you literally, I didn't realize what I was looking at when I was looking at the funnel itself. And that one went on to produce some significant damage right across a good chunk of Southern Ontario. So yeah, the whole thing was that's just epitome or a good example of what it was like this year. And it was just day after day after day of chasing in Southern Ontario. So yeah, I was quite pleased with this year. And as I said, that one day with the massive tornado up near right near Point Clark, man, that was a day.
And that was September 7th, right?
There, September 7th. Yeah, thank you. There was so many days. I was out so much that I've all the days have just blurred together at this point.
All right, so then I'll cue your video.
Awesome.
And there should be some audio, so if you don't hear anything, just maybe say something.
I can see the video now. There's I had to show some snow video because it's we're getting into the snow season now, and the part of the reason I was late today was I've been so distracted with the giant system that's coming through tomorrow. TWN has had me running, and I have just been preparing gear like crazy all day long.
Yeah, big win event for us tomorrow, starting tomorrow morning.
Yeah, this is our first snowfall in Southern Ontario, and snow squalls are the big thing in Southern Ontario. So the last bit. Yeah, there it is. This is it. That whole thing is the tornado. Those little cone shapes are the mesovortices that are running around the outside of the suction vortices that are running around the edge of the tornado itself. That was as scary as it gets when that's coming straight at you. So yeah.
But was there any cows around the circulation?
No, there were pigs though.
Was there really?
Yeah, we went right through a pig farm.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So you didn't include that video, but that's I don't know. That's
No,
the video you should have included.
There, you're literally seeing it hit the pig farm. Now pick out the pig farm. That's how bloody big this thing was.
All right, so we'll move on to Chris now, and Scott, I'll let you do the introductions.
I'll kind of be hosting this part with the Chasers. So as I talked to our panel earlier, how this will work is everybody will have a chance to show a video from this year. We give them about a minute or so to show that and talk about it. and then we'll move on to the next person. And then at the end, we'll have a broader discussion. So first up is Chris Rathlaff from Calgary, Alberta. And Francis will cue up his video.
We're gonna let him 1 minute to talk first, though. So go
okay.
ahead, Chris.
Well, you could maybe put it up and let him talk.
Okay, it's up to you. Chris, how do you want to do it?
Go ahead, play it. There's no audio in the background, so it's fine. Pickings were pretty slim for favorite storm video from this year in Alberta. This was July 3rd on a pretty classic foothills storm day, running from Sundre to Highway 2, back out to Sundre again, back to Highway 2, sort of back-to-back train of storms. My picking for this one was it had some of the nicest structure that I found of the year. Some fairly classic Alberta foothills storm structure, that nice wrapping shape. What I really liked out of this storm was at the end of the video, where storm chasers were usually looking for outies, right? We're looking for stuff coming out of the storm. And this one, at the end of it, everything was sucking up into the base, right? You can just see the updraft basically eating the storm out from underneath it. That was probably the most interesting thing that I think I caught out of this year. The other interesting thing about this year, though, is how many times it seemed like we were chasing around Calgary, either through it, around it, on the ring roads. Just a pain in the butt of a city to try to navigate within. That's my year.
Thanks, Chris. And
yep.
Great video. I know it's LP, so I'll bite my tongue about that, but it's very good.
Somebody on YouTube
anybody who knows me knows that I tend to prefer anything that is not spitting out tornadoes or a lot of precip. I like the structure. I'm a structure hipster for sure.
Well, you certainly get treated to a lot of that where you are. So next up, Ryan Krause, you from Yorkton, Saskatchewan.
All right. I didn't have a very great year. I'll try to survive here without hacking onto the camera here, but I only had about 4 or 5 chases. None of them were great. The best couple I had, I probably forecasted, so I was in the north instead of the south. That being, and my highlight video is pretty much the sum of 3 chases, one being 14 minutes long, one being 17 minutes long, and then me running out of road. So I missed the main part of the storm. And I got my whole entire season put into the 30 seconds.
All right, next up, Shannon Boleski from East Selkirk, Manitoba.
Hey guys. Yeah, it was a pretty sad year this year. So my video is pretty sad. I have 2 chases in here. So that first one, I don't know if you can pause it for a second. Go back. So this was, I think it was in February or March or something. I was bored. So I did a little bit of macro photography, and through my my canvas print of the Dodge City tornado behind it. So I created it this year, but it was, yeah, I didn't have much to add. So that was in here. July 22nd, this was my main storm of the year, I guess. And what Chris was saying about the innie, this one did the innie thing too. So that was kind of crazy. Jenny was with me. Ryan, you were there as well. Braden as well. Like it was pretty crazy how like just after this, it just kind of sucked up and kind of did this little horseshoe inward wackadoodle thing. So yeah.
Is that the same storm that Chris showed?
No, this is July 22nd.
Oh, okay.
This is in Saskatchewan, near Weyburn, just north of Weyburn. And that's the same one from that one. Had some pretty good lightning on it. This one was September 29th. Just there's some thunderstorms last storms of the year. So just wanted to get out there and try to get something, because I literally had nothing except for those couple of shots. So yeah, so ended up going out, and the storms were further off to the west. And I was having rain towards me, and I was quite a ways away. So I tried to stay out of the rain. And then this little pop-up just happened to hop up right in front of me here, and just started throwing lightning out right over top of me. So that was shot with 14 mil. No cropping really on that one at all. So yeah, it was like literally right in front of me. So it was really cool. It was a good last hurrah of the year. So yeah.
I live about an hour from Shannon. I can attest how bad it's been chase-wise here past couple of years, not just this year. I think I've chased maybe once in the last 2 years. And that one September storm she showed at the end, it's probably the best one I saw all year, but I was at home and it terrified my dog. So I just spent the whole time consoling my dog, and I didn't even get to enjoy that one. So
that's one of the things I miss from the prairies, like clean lightning.
What's that?
It's one of the things I miss from the prairies, like clean lightning like that, not in the rain or anything. And it's,
yeah, it doesn't happen often anymore, but yeah, I was happy to get something. So September 30th was pretty rare for the prairies too, out in Manitoba here. So I was happy to have it.
All right, Kyle Britton from Calgary, Alberta.
Hello, everyone. Thanks. First off, thanks for hosting this. It's great to see everyone. I know right about this time of the year, I really start to miss all my friends. Thanks for including me with a bunch of very talented chasers. I guess you could just show the highlight reel clip at the end. There's some audio associated with it. Okay, hold on a sec.
I muted it, so you're all good.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, well, it was a crazy year. BC, I mean, that's kind of where most of the action was at this year. They just couldn't get away from it. You can see a whole bunch of different things kind of flashing across the screen there. I guess because it was a drought year in the prairies, we had lots of dust, not a lot in the way of thunderstorm activity. Got a couple tornadoes, 2 of the 3 in Alberta, and then the rest of it was really BC. We had lots of fire and smoke, incredible pyrocumulonimbus display on June 29th, the day that Lytton hit nearly 50 degrees, and of course burnt down the next day. And then mid-August, was documenting some wildfires in the Okanagan, and the sky turned black in the middle of the afternoon. So I would have to say the most memorable part of 2021 was actually British Columbia and all the insane weather that they had there.
One thing about the video I really found interesting was that you went to Nakiska Ridgetop to experience the wind. And I receive wind gusts from that station all the time because they're so strong and they come through our severe weather system reports. So, do you know about what's the elevation there and what was that like?
I think it's roughly 2,400 meters above sea level, I think. Yeah, and 193 we got up there. It routinely, every couple times a year it gets over 200. So yeah, just crazy up there. It's just east of the Mount Lougheed Massif. So when you got those strong cross barrier winds going over, you just get an insane kind of downslope wind that just impacts the top of that ridge. So
very cool. Thanks for sharing. So next up, Travis Farncombe from Toronto.
Hey guys, I'll talk before this. Is that cool?
Toward,
just because I put in a bunch of dramatic music to make this season seem more eventful than it actually was. I would say this year was a really good chase year for me, despite the the challenges with the storms. In Ontario, one of my best and worst days was the day of the Barrie tornado. Got on the supercell, was doing everything right, but got skunked by Cooks Bay. So I missed the tornadoes. If I'd not been chasing, I would have been at my cottage and been like, Mike, I'm going to get milk. And I would have had a tornado 10 minutes south of us, which was a bummer. But the highlight for me was getting out to the prairies a couple times. We did get 3 tornadoes in Saskatchewan on June 15th when I went out with Dave Sills. And there's no question that was the highlight of the year for me, not just for the tornadoes, but for chasing with Dave, which was a pleasure. So it was a good year, and I did, like I said, just a highlight reel.
I am headed out toward looking at radar, Barrie and Painswick.
Dave, we got a tornado. Look at the dust cloud on the left.
Oh my god, are you good or are we good? Ground circulation still going on.
Are we good or are we good? That's the part that gets me.
That was my highlight soundbite for the year.
Was that your first time chasing on the prairies?
I've been out before to Alberta and got on a really, really awesome storm near Cold Lake a couple years back. But this year, it was just like in pandemic time, such a pleasure to get out to Big Sky. So, I mean, the tornadoes were icing on the cake. Just getting out chasing on like non-HP fast-moving storms was nice. So,
And you couldn't have timed it any better this year with how dead it was for most of the summer.
yeah, we got lucky.
So next up, Dave Sills from London, Ontario.
Yeah. So, the highlight, as Travis said, was our chase out in the prairies. I had chased out in the prairies a couple of times before, but this is the first time I've actually seen a tornado. So this was that really nice tornado near Darcy. And it actually, you have 0 damage. I couldn't believe how many people actually got video of this thing. And then this was the other tornadoes at McGee, north and south. Some at one point they were both happening at the same time. And then this was a water spout I caught off Lake Huron, Georgian Bay in October. So another really long, thin noodle over the water at that time. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of storms in Ontario, and I did get out on a bunch of them, but it turned out that the best experience of the summer was this one day out in Saskatchewan. So I was really happy to be able to do that and get out there with Travis. That was a blast.
So Dave, you've chased tornadoes on the prairies and lake breezes. What was more fun? Answer carefully.
Yeah, chasing out in the prairies is so great because you can see so far, and the bases on this particular day, the bases were so high. I saw a video from that event from 30 kilometers away, and it looked almost the same as the video we got. I couldn't believe it. So it was just amazing visibility, and the bases were so high. It was just a really great. In Ontario, it's really hard to get the conditions where you can actually see structure, and you saw Mark's video where the tornado is buried in rain, and that's typically what happens. So the exception is when we see these water spouts over the lake. You get to see them, fairly clearly.
Great, thanks for sharing. So next up, Kyle Woods from Waterloo, Ontario.
Okay, yeah, so for my footage, you can actually stop it right at the beginning there. So I'm going to kind of allude to what Dave was talking about. My footage really showcases kind of what raw Ontario chasing is like. And with high precipitation supercells, it's very hard to see tornadoes when they come up. So for mine, this was actually my first tornado. So I'd say it was my most successful storm chasing year. And this was an EF0 tornado outside of Bayfield in late July. So you can actually play the footage now.
Massive rain wrap circulation just came on shore near Bayfield. Completely rain wrapped, you can't see anything. Tornado on the ground right now.
Yeah, so as you can see in the video there, that's really what a lot of Ontario tornadoes look like. Very hard to see. And that's also why it presents a lot of danger. And that's kind of the research that I do, and trying to get the public to understand this danger so that they're protected from these tornadoes that occur. Even though it's a weak tornado, there's always strong ones that can occur in high precipitation supercells. So that's my footage, and very great season.
Was that your first tornado call?
Yeah, that was my first tornado. Yeah.
Congrats, man.
Thank you
Nice.
very much.
Always special. The first one's always the most special. So now we've got Jordan Carruthers from Portage la Prairie, Manitoba.
Hey, so yeah, as many people have mentioned, it was a very quiet season across the prairies this year. And yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of luck, but on kind of the very last day of meteorological summer, August 31st, I managed to get this clip from just south of Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. This tornado-warned storm went up, and yeah, it was just kind of what I had been looking for all season finally, and happened to be the last chase of the year for me as well. And this is also that storm that went on to produce golf ball sized hail across Regina and whatnot that day. I think Scott was saying the second largest hail of the year across Canada that day.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of how my season went. A whole lot of busts, and then finally the last day of summer we got that one.
Yes, usually us Manitoba chasers can always go to Saskatchewan if we're in very desperate need of storms.
I even went all the way to Alberta I was so desperate this year.
All right, so Braden Morso, Cochrane, Alberta.
Hello. How's it going?
Good. How about you?
It's good to see everybody, especially, I guess, the peak of storm deprivation syndrome is kicking in right about now, especially with, it looks like it's going to get pretty cold in a lot of the prairies over the next couple of weeks. My video here is from Kim, Colorado's. I was lucky enough to get down to the States for the month of May this year. So we got a storm down by Kim, and it kind of sat there elevated for almost 3 hours before it became more surface-based. And then it went tornadic over Black Mesa, which is one of the highest points in the Great Plains. And we were faced with a very challenging road network that led us through some what looked like not safe places. And then I was in a rental vehicle, and associated with this storm was this massive hail. So I ended up riding off my rental vehicle in this hailstorm. So took off a side mirror. Yeah, but I made sure to get the full coverage, so it was okay for that there. But it was definitely one of my favorite chase days of the season. Again, the prairies in Canada were pretty slow with all the smoke and stuff, but overall it's still a great season. Just getting out there in the prairies and seeing the open prairie is always fun. So regardless of whether there's storms or not, meeting up with friends and just hanging out on the side of the road, can't go wrong with that, right?
No, that's for sure. All right, Jenny Hagan from Etonia, Saskatchewan.
Hi, guys. As most people said, yeah, the Saskatchewan season was very slow this year. So other than a few hail checkers and that Darcy tornado, there wasn't a whole lot. But what we did have was 3 record-breaking storms in the winter time. So that's kind of what I featured in this video. I know a lot of people don't do the winter chasing, but I have a lot of fun with it. It's been a little bit since we stepped out here in West Central Saskatchewan. So I thought I'd just kind of show you guys kind of what the conditions are like. As you can see, very windy. I'm always going to blow my face here. It's Saskatchewan. It's never windy here.
This is gold. I used to be like that. Like I go out the blizzards, and now it's like -5, and I just don't want to go out anymore. I've grown
Well, the
weak.
fun thing about that one is I was actually ended up stranded out there for like, I think it was 8 hours because the semi had slid off the road and blocked off the whole intersection going back into town. So I went to go around that, and then there was a car that somebody abandoned right in the middle of the road. So I had to park in the ditch and wait for the tractors to get moving to get me out. So I just got to watch the whole thing right in the vehicle.
Well, and for those that don't live on the prairies, you know, I've always lived in cities here, so I know it was windy, but you know, if you're in the city, it's not windy until you actually live in the country, which I do now. And on a windy day, you know, my house is shaking, the pipes are rattling. I think I'm about to lose shingles, and that's just basically a normal day here. You know, when you get a system going through, so I'm still getting used to that.
And the
Well, now you know what it's like to live in
No exaggeration to say that it gets very windy. All right, so next, Craig Bame from Regina.
Yeah, so as everyone's kind of said, slow season, but it was an interesting season. Early on, we started with the June 15th or 16th tornadoes, and I literally was going to chase that day. With work, I usually get about 10 days that I can leave work early to go out and chase. So I decided to take that day off and not actually chase, being so early in the season. Of course, it produced 3 tornadoes, so I thought, no biggie, season's just starting to ramp up. We had a couple good storms in early July, a couple tornado warned ones, and maybe tornado in there. And then literally the season kind of went to sleep for about 6 weeks. And then at the start of this video, you can kind of see when the season ramped up a little bit again for 2 weeks. The EF2 tornado, this is a little, not great time lapse of it, just some stills put together of the EF2 tornado by Glenn Bain, and then some of the images that led up to it. And then the last part of the time lapse is the same storm that Jordan had put in his as well. The storm that did go through Moose Jaw and Regina and caused all that damage. Very pretty storm for August 31st, a really good way to end the season.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. Do we have one more? Oh, Francis. It's my pleasure to introduce Francis. He's from former Manitoban, now in Kitchener, Ontario.
Former Quebecer, New Brunswicker / Manitoban. I don't know.
Well, one of those is more important, but carry on.
All right. Well, yeah, so my video is from the September 7th event, the same as Mark. And I figured I'd put in these for context. So September 7th was a huge tornado outbreak in Ontario. We had fun, Dave and I and the whole team, figuring out all the satellite tornadoes that were going on in the main circulations. But basically there was a huge trough coming, across Southern Ontario, so it's textbook, tornado outbreak setup. And then everybody was south, and then I actually was on the phone with Mark, and there was a closed road. So then we were like, hey, Mark, there's a closed road. Should we keep going west or whatever? And then Mark actually kept going and went to, was it Point Clark? You were at Point Clark, and then I actually headed north. So you can see the radar image here. The dots is Point Clark, like that's where Mark and a bunch of chasers were. And I decided to go north, and then I wanted to get the northern circulation instead of the southern one. And of course, the southern one is the one that produced the massive wedges that everybody got. But I guess I was being antisocial or whatever. So I went north and I went to Southampton, and I got this time lapse. Essentially, I just sat there for like 45 minutes or something, and then I remember Dave was tweeting, "Yeah, I don't think that one's going to be surface based north of there," and then I just had to time lapse and say, "Well, you know what? I think it is." So here's this. It wasn't actually tornado warned at this point, but you can see the circulation in the middle is just going to start building like crazy there. So yeah, that was my best footage of 2021, and usually we have like some pretty crazy cold fronts go through Lake Huron and get some crazy shelf clouds in late August, and that was probably one of the two. Maybe Mark, you can correct me on this, but there wasn't a lot of structured chase days in Ontario this year, and I was kind of disappointed about that.
Yeah, there wasn't the best structure I've got, I think, was last year. So yeah, the structure wasn't great, but I remember telling you to come south. I distinctly remember that. You said don't go north, come to Point Clark. See, you should listen.
Yeah,
to
but
me.
look at the structure though. You can't beat that.
Yeah, I can. Let me go back to my video. See the wedge.
There was quite a bit of damage with that though, right, Francis? There was downburst damage though.
Yeah, actually, like I was looking at a pretty decent wall cloud and then funnel cloud, but then never happened. It just got buried in the rain, got cut off, and then yeah, I think Connell went to do a survey, and then they found a bunch of downburst damage from that. All right, so I guess now we're entering the part of the after the show and tell, like we're just going to have a discussion, general discussion. We're going to start pulling some questions from the YouTube comments. I'm sure I have a lot to go through, it looks like. So Scott, maybe you want to just moderate the Zoom here if you guys want to just unmute and kind of ask each other questions, or we'll leave it open for that.
Yeah, I thought we'd start quickly. Jolianne from Montreal is here. It wasn't a great season there, so she didn't have a slide, but if you wanted to say hi to everyone, and she'll be here for the discussion too.
I will. I'm glad to say hi to everybody. Hi. This year was horrible, but there's bad years and there's horrible years. This year we couldn't go chase in Ontario early on because it was blocked, and then we had this beautiful tornado in Mascouche, but then we were south like everybody, like every other chaser, because we were blocked by the river. And so I was so mad at that point. I had footage.
We did get on a storm which produced a tornado, but we didn't see it actually. Because of the road network.
Yeah, I just saw damage. I was so done at this point. I was like, I'm over this pandemic. I want to go back in the US. This is ridiculous. I'm chasing damage. No, this is really bad.
This year was.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did not have any footage, any pretty pictures. Last year was better. We got a really good tornado. I remember Mark was there, and I got out of the car, and it was super like ominous weather, and I ran and said hi to Mark, and he was live, and I was so sorry, and I ran back to my car, and I was like, I'm sorry, Mark. And then we caught the tornado right after. So
yeah, Mark should have a sign saying I am live.
I know. I was so happy. It's like in the US, when you see somebody, you start running and you say hi, and then you get lunch. But in Canada, I mean, there's so little chaser, and Mark is a busy man. So yeah, I never see chasers in Canada, basically.
Yeah,
it's because we're all in Ontario.
To say.
Well, it was blocked. It was blocked for the earlier season, and Pierre kept telling me like we should go to Barrie, and we got lazy. So there's that.
I got lazy from Mascouche, so I guess it's karma.
Karma. I remember telling you, "Are you coming?" And he said, and he said, "No, it's too far." And literally, you had to come to see the damage later on. And I was like, "Don't you regret your choice?"
Yeah, I should have already been there. So that's one of the questions that people are asking, like on YouTube. Like, are you guys planning to go to the States in 2022? It's reopening, so
Yes,
what's
definitely.
everybody's plans?
Yeah, we're planning for the Weather Network. I believe we're planning on a trip down there, the triumphant return, as it were, to going there. So fingers crossed. We'll see. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that we're sort of working on right now, but yeah, for us, I think we're going. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I think we're gonna make it happen. We will try to make it happen. So maybe for 2 or 3 weeks, we don't know still, but yeah.
As long as borders all stay open, I'll be heading down late April, early May for a few weeks at least.
Sorry, I'm going to jump in just for a second because I just saw there's updates coming from the States and they're saying like there's tornadoes ongoing like literally as we're speaking right now.
There's been an insane debris ball. I keep looking at radar scope. It's gone just on and on and on and on from Jonesboro, like northeast.
Yeah, what kind of panel are we if we don't talk about ongoing tornadoes?
I haven't checked it at all tonight. All I knew is that it was going to be a big outbreak, and I guess it is.
Yeah, I'm seeing the updates come in from TWN because it's all set up on my phone, and I can see them sort of like Rachel just said. There's massive tornadoes ongoing, and it's Dan Shaw that's like sending out the pictures. Of course, it's Dan, but you know.
Wait, Shaw's in the U.S. right now? I thought he was in Australia.
I think he's just updating. He's just sending stuff, and they're just.
Okay.
He bloody well better not be in the States right now.
It wouldn't be surprising though. Like the guy just flies all the time.
No.
So what's everybody else's plans for 2022? Anybody else planning any
Yeah,
big
we're
trips?
100%. We're going. We're leaving. I mean, I've had it. This drought has to end. let's go to the US. Let's eat the hot dogs, the rolling tornado, whatever they call it in the gas stations, and let's chase our little hearts in Texas and see each other in Nebraska, I guess, or Kansas or back roads.
See, I'm not as lucky as you guys. I can't say anything because my boss is in here, so I can't say I'm taking 3 weeks off to go chasing.
I mean, come on, nothing go.
Travis, what's your plans for 2022? I know you're itching to go back down there, aren't you?
I am, although I will say I actually hope the prairies comes alive next summer because I'm kind of over the chaser traffic in the States. Like I don't know, I find it a little intense now at times, and I'm like a scaredy cat chaser. So I like to be like way out ahead of these storms, and I don't mind seeing a tornado from 5 miles away instead of like 200 meters. So, but I say that now, I'll end up like in Kansas for sure.
See, Braden got around that because every time I see him in the States, he always the first one leading the pack on the shitty dirt roads, right? And he just like you just have like your 4-wheel drive and the nice tires, and you don't care about traffic. I think that's the trick.
That was that Colorado day, was it?
Yeah, I had like a rental, and I was slipping so bad, just holding the traffic, and you were just gutting it.
It was myself and Tom, and then Francis, and then we had like 12 cars behind us, and just slowly they would like fall off into the
behind me.
Oh God, the pudding roads in Kansas are the worst. I don't care how good your tires are, unless you are in like one of those giant tractors that have like the 15-foot wheels. You are going into the ditch on those.
Have you seen his tires?
Colorado. Colorado is worse. Back roads in Colorado take the cake.
See, I'd give it to Nebraska.
Yeah, Hairy Country.
The what?
Hairy Country, Nebraska is definitely one of the worst for sure.
Yeah.
Oh.
Take note, everyone.
Yeah.
I put my car in the ditch on the border of Kansas and Nebraska, like
yes.
right in the ditch. And
that's exactly the place I was talking about. The border of Kansas and Colorado. In Nebraska, that little place right there. Oh God.
I got
Hey,
pulled
that's
up.
that's where we went in the ditch too.
Me?
No, that's where I went into the ditch as well. Somewhere up by Atwood, Kansas, like southeast of McCook.
That's
Oh, yeah.
exactly where. That's where we were talking about too.
Yeah, no, this was back in 2016. So apparently, like Northwest Kansas is a pretty bad area.
It is.
Yeah. No, I was in north central or northeastern Kansas when I went in the ditch, and luckily a farmer like pulled me out of the ditch. It was great. I thought I was
What
going to
are
die.
you, what are you guys all doing running into ditches?
Oh, wait. It's not that easy.
We're professionals.
Oh my
You
God.
haven't chased unless you've been in a ditch. Come on.
I think the worst was Dodge City
Damn.
Day. There was so many tour vans like in the ditch that day. It was just blocking everybody.
I made the mistake of going on a stupid dirt road. We were that first big one was there, and we were bombing up north, and we had to stop and get some shots and do some live hits with it. Or do some hits with it, and they're like, okay, let's go. Scott and Dave went like to the right. Let's go to the left. Let's go to the left. Oh, there they are on that road. Let's keep going up there. Oh God, no! And then that was it. We were doing 3 kilometers an hour trying to get back to the main road. It was, and there were so many cars around us that all got screwed the same way. It was bad.
Yeah, well, we went into the ditch under blue skies the day after the thunderstorm outbreak. So, 4x4. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter if you're on a storm or not. It's like those roads are just like butter on a hot pan, right? Like you're getting a little cocky the day after because they look, you get a little bit of a crust on the surface that's kind of evaporated. It's just mud right underneath. And you don't stand a chance. A tractor pulled us out of that one.
Kyle, you haven't put the TWN car in the ditch in a winter storm and have a whole bunch of people take pictures of it and then send it a picture and put it.
That was last year,
No, Mark, Craig Bame is on the call. Craig, do you have that picture? Well, it doesn't matter anyways. Yes, in fact, I went into the ditch in the TWN vehicle on my first blizzard near Regina, and it was a kid in a Lexus SUV that pulled me out. I tried to dig myself out. I couldn't do it.
Oh gosh, it's just embarrassing almost.
Oh yeah, it was really humbling. I told Craig, please don't post this picture because it was white out and you come up to the corner and you kind of look at that. You're like, it's like flat. It's like the dirt goes right down onto the grass, but there was like 3 feet of snow on the corner and I didn't see it and I took it too close. And there you go.
Oh, see, I did something similar. I did when I was up in Niagara. I was up on top of the Niagara Escarpment last year, and there was a guy right behind me, and he was like right behind me, and it was snow. It was crazy. And I saw like a driveway coming up, and I could see where the little flag was. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go around the flag. 6 inches, and I put the wheel into the thing. I was stuck so bad that when the CAA tow truck arrived there 2 hours later, meanwhile, I'm doing lives back to TWN from the parking lot with the car in the ditch. The tow truck got stuck. So
yeah, I remember that. And you were like live streaming it too. Like, didn't you like go and talk to the guy and he's like, yeah, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck too. So did you have to like call somebody else or what?
No, he finally got the truck enough around that he took the long winch, wrapped it around a big tree, and just literally winched himself right out of there. And after I had to dig his front wheels out. It was hilarious. Like as I'm digging this giant CAA tow truck out of like this snowbank in the parking lot. Yeah.
There's a
just a part
question
of
on
storm chasing.
YouTube here.
I thought, why don't we get a couple YouTube comments in here? There was one from a little while ago. I'll bring it up. It was for Dave. Dave Patrick was asking if you thought about using corn stalks as a damage indicator, or if that's being considered.
Yeah, actually, we've there's been a number of tornadoes that we've confirmed based on damage to corn, and it turns out that the patterns that can form in corn due to the tornado going through are very similar to what would be the tree patterns I was talking about before. So we might actually be able to rate tornadoes that go through corn based on the patterns of damage that they create. So that's something that we're looking into.
Interesting. So Dave, I think Dave answered Dave there. Perfect.
Hey, Dave.
Some people commenting that they're also planning to go down to the US. And then someone, see if I can find the name, but they were asking if anybody chased September 12th, I think it was, in Ontario. There was a bow echo that went through Norfolk County.
Folk.
Where's Norfolk County?
That's south of London.
Is it?
Yeah, I was there. I was on that one. Yeah.
Wait, was it that night we were chasing together?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. One. Yeah.
That one was interesting.
Yeah, I remember that. I completely lost you in the fog of rain. That was insane. Yeah. And then it did all the, remember, like I spent the night, I had an argument with a cop on the side of the road because he was freaking out on me. Because he didn't realize I couldn't see the downed power line because his lights were on it, right? If his lights hadn't been on, I would have seen the downed power line. And he freaked out on me, and I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry I couldn't see him. We chatted a bit and he got friendly after that, but there was so much damage that night. I remember that one. There's some spectacular lightning on that too.
Yeah, after I was trying to get back home, and then all the roads, that's why I thought a tornado went through it, but like there were so many trees down, and actually I was going through a road, and then there was a power line down, and the power line went on my dash and then scraped the entire window and then took off my my antenna on the top. So I'm like, okay, yeah, let's stop. But it was raining so hard that because I hit the power line, it actually saved me because there was a huge tree down right in front of me. And it's only at that point that I realized that I would have just crashed into it. And it's a huge tree, right? So the tree branches would have caused some damage to me. So kind of saved me at the end.
Good Lord, man. I didn't know about that. But yeah, I remember that night. That was fun because I was like, where the hell are you? And you just disappear.
I was going for donuts, and then he's like, where are you? The storm's coming. I'm like, yeah, but I need food and coffee, though. It's late.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to get in the chaser fuel.
And that one was I almost abandoned that one, I remember, because it was we had to wait 2 hours, 3 hours for the next one to come in from Detroit, and I was getting lazy and tired and cranky, I guess. But it paid off. It was a nice storm.
Yeah, no, Ontario was super busy this year. It really was. It just kept happening. For TWN, because I sort of paid to go chase stuff. I go after everything, so it ends up being super busy. I'm not sure if I wasn't being paid by them. I'm not sure I would have gone after everything I went after this year, but there was a bunch of surprises this year that was this day's going to be sort of meh. And then it was oh my God. And
it was also a big supercell year for Ontario, where last year it was just QLCS after QLCS. And this year they were all supercell events. Not that many of them were well and truly chaseable, but still it was, I would say, a notable year for that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Travis. Yeah, it was definitely that for us this year. And it was just and there was some of them were spectacularly embedded supercells. That shouldn't be a supercell. And I remember coming across, I think you and I, it was a Barrie day. I think you were on Barrie as well, were you not? Yeah, because I both got screwed by the same bloody city. Because we were both flying across that one road. And I said, I'll just go through Alliston. And I just watched this Texas, Oklahoma supercell. I can see the back of the hook. I kept getting into the hook, and then it would get ahead of me, and then I get into the hook, and then it would get ahead of me, and then I hit Alliston, and that was it. I was done. But I was in Barrie 10 minutes after the tornado hit. And I think for me, the best thing about that was when I got in there, the police, the guy who was doing media relations for the police, said he was watching my tweets as I came across from Lake Huron. And he said that was the reason that everybody was out. He had all the cops out and ready to go, was because he was watching my stuff. And that's why they had the police on scene so fast. So that was super gratifying for me.
I just put up the one of the storms in the U.S. right now because people are commenting on that tornado emergency here for Tiptonville, Tennessee. So you can see that's pretty wild looking.
So Dave, are we
Yeah,
gonna get
that's a
deployed tomorrow?
PDS warning. How long has that one been on the ground for now?
The rotation track is like county after county after county. It's going to be like a tri-state supercell soon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any chasers on it?
Yeah, I think so. I thought I saw that Reed Timmer was streaming something, and I also Piotrowski is also out there.
The man is dialed to 15 permanently.
The legend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Set
he's
the man
never gonna
who's
stop
dialed
chasing.
to 12.
The only time I've ever seen Petresky not dialed to 22 is he came to the Weather Network one day when we were putting in the new Barron system, and Petresky was dressed in a suit and he was calm. That was really weird.
Wow, I've never seen him calm in person.
It's probably because he was in Ontario and there wasn't any good storms going on.
Yeah, it was like fall or something. I can't remember when it was, but
I had a question for everybody here because I know Shannon, you've really started in the NFT space. So I wanted to get a discussion going about what you guys think about NFTs. It's the big hype right now, and I wanted to see, like, are you guys thinking about, putting your pictures on an NFT website? Have you guys tried it? What are your thoughts on it? So feel free, anybody who wants to step in. Maybe Shannon, you can kick it off because you maybe have the most experience on that.
Hang on. There we go. Yeah, so I just entered the NFT space. So just learning. I've minted a few pieces already. Does everybody know what NFTs are? No.
I need a definition.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody knows cryptocurrency?
Wow.
Sort of.
Like Bitcoin and stuff?
Okay, so there's the blockchain that's kind of out there. Okay, so right now there's, so for NFTs, NFT is a non-fungible token. So it's kind of like a digital asset that you can purchase. So I can take an image, I can mint an image. It's a digital token that's out on the blockchain. You can purchase it with cryptocurrency. The most popular right now is Ethereum, a type of cryptocurrency. And, there's a little bit of controversy about it right now, about how much energy it uses. And just to give you an example of what's happening with that is the best way to kind of explain the blockchain that I've kind of figured it is if you kind of picture, so Travis, you're kind of on my screen right now. So basically, if I have $100 in my bank account, I give you $10. Then basically it's kind of putting it onto the blockchain, this transaction. And there's computers out there. There's hundreds of thousands of computers out there, millions, that's trying to figure out this transaction. So the first computer to solve this transaction, this math problem of taking $10 out of my $100 and giving you the $10 into your bank account, the first computer that gets that gets kind of a fee, kind of a prize for solving that problem. So the issue with cryptocurrency right now is that you've got all of these computers trying to solve that problem. Now there's going to be Ethereum 2.0, which is going to be along the lines of Cardano. Cardano basically tries to solve the same math problem, but what happens is it'll send that math problem to one computer and it'll say, you need to solve this problem. It'll solve it and it'll get the prize for solving it. So that it conserves a lot more energy, right? So that kind of explains it a little bit. So along with the blockchain though, is everything is visible to everybody. So you can come onto my wallet, you can see exactly what's in my wallet, all of the assets that I have, all the transactions that I have. So it's very visible for everything. So with NFTs is a token on that blockchain. So when it's kind of like trading cards. So there's like, I don't even know how many there are out there, but let's say there's 50 Wayne Gretzky cards out in the world right now. They're pretty valuable, right? Well, for NFTs, it's the same type of thing. There's one out there, one digital token that's out there of my image, and somebody can purchase that, and then they can, you know, save it for themselves. You know, maybe it'll be more valuable when I'm dead. You know, they might be able to sell it again. But the great thing about it is there's going to be secondary markets. There's already is. And third, so I can take it, I can sell it to somebody. They can go and sell it to somebody else, and they will have, I'll get a royalty out of that. But that image that's out there is has all of my metadata on it that says I'm the original artist on it. It's got all of my other stuff that I want on there. So that's kind of explains it. Does that make sense?
So Shannon, if I
Yeah.
just summed it up, would it be correct to say the reason photographers like NFTs is because it's a way of proving who owns a digital photo? People can't just make a million copies of it and
Correct.
you know, sell
Correct.
them because we know for sure who owns that photo.
Exactly. And because, so what I can do, I can actually produce, you know, 35 editions of my photo, and I can sell them that way, but it's not as valuable as if somebody getting just the one. So I usually create one of ones, and then somebody can purchase that, and then they can sell it, they can keep it, whatever they want to do with it. But yeah, it's one, and it's on the blockchain. And honestly, I see this as the way of the future with, you know, smart contracts and everything else. Like there's people buying houses right now, cars, you know, with cryptocurrency and with the blockchain. So, and NFTs. So it's definitely the way of the future. There needs to be more regulation around it. Like it's moving at a very, very fast pace right now. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting following along with it.
I've seen that, I don't know much about it at all, but I've seen a lot of storm chasers say that a lot of their photos have already been ripped off and sold as their own and whatnot. Like dozens
through NFTs.
Yes, like big time.
Yeah, I guess that's my issue. Like I took a while to like enter the space, and I'm not minting a lot of things because I'm scared that just people that, you know, have better profiles or like higher profiles that have more followers or whatever, they're just going to take the picture and sell it. So that's kind of the issue. So maybe you can speak to that, Shannon, a little bit about.
Yeah. So actually, that's one of the things that I've been trying to advocate for, and I've actually been talking with a NFT intellectual property lawyer. So we're trying to put the education out there about ripping images off, about what you can do to file for copyright infringement. So I've got a whole list of stuff. I'll probably put something together and publish it for everybody. So like one of the biggest things for me is just the education, and because like you said, there has been a lot of images, you know, digital artists just taking images and you know, putting it into their own, doing a little bit of extra on top of it and then selling it. And I actually talked to a collector, I think it was last week, just to educate them and say, you know, this is what's happening. You know, as a collector. So basically what would happen is somebody could file for copyright infringement. And then that image would have to be taken down. Any money that, like, it would have to be burned, or an other agreement with the artist. But typically what would happen is that image would have to be burned, and any proceeds that they made or off of that sale would have to go back to the original artist, right? Yeah, so that's basically what it would be. But yeah, so right now the biggest thing is the education, because people are thinking that they can rip it off and, you know, have no repercussions for it. So in NFT world, there is still you know, copyright infringement, and so yeah, that's trying to do the education on it right now.
So who wants to join the NFT space here? Who wants to try it? Who has been thinking of trying it? Nobody.
I've thought about it. I was talking with Scott McPartland and Dave Lewison and sort of a bunch of those guys, and they've been trying it. Scott's had some really unique photography, but he was saying that like he hasn't really gotten many bites. And then Jason Persoff had a couple that were bought. I think Storm Doctor. So he had a few that he sold, but they basically said it's really a popularity contest. And
it's not necessarily a popularity contest. I think what I'm finding is there's a community. So there's usually stories behind the images, and any of the main collectors that are purchasing these things, they want to hear the stories. They want to hear about you, that like there's a personal connection with it, right? So like, you can have like any of my photos out there, like it means nothing to them usually, right? With all of the other art that's out there, like there's some incredible art that's out there, and images. And one of the biggest things is understanding what that story is behind it. Because there's some pretty meaningful stories around it. Like there was one person that I was seeing, and the images were okay, like they were nice. But once you hear the story behind it, it adds that much more meaning to the actual image itself, if that makes sense.
Oh no, you know what? That absolutely makes sense. Maybe I can like pair it up with my book.
Yeah.
Working on it, trying to get there. But yeah, that's really interesting, guys. Because yeah, I've got a ton of images that are will be like hopefully part of the book at some point. Maybe as a companion to it. This is just like a straight text. But I never thought of NFTs being a like a companion to that, and the fact that like here's the story behind this picture. That's really interesting, because I've got some somewhat unique pictures. I was in Fort McMurray and trees exploding in front of us, looked like a bloody Michael Bay movie. So yeah, like maybe I could mint that. So interesting. That's good to know.
Yeah. The learning curve getting into it is pretty mind-boggling, though. I was researching it a bit.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely is. Like I still have a lot to learn. I still have a ton to learn. But yeah, it's interesting, and it's interesting watching some of the trends. And the biggest thing I can advice I can give for anybody who wants to get into that space is join the Twitter spaces where there's NFTs involved, and just sit and listen in rooms. It's interesting hearing some of the stories, and that's one of the biggest things for me was learning about all the people that are out there. It's given me a sense of being thankful for what I have. There's so many people out there that don't have a lot. It's pretty eye-opening, and to hear some of the stories behind some of the photos. And there's people out there that are scaling tall buildings and cranes, and listening to some of their stories is just amazing.
Yeah,
like you think what we do is crazy, some of the from all around the world, and just hearing some of those stories, it's pretty incredible.
It's like anything else. Like, I mean, people see other people's success and they're like, oh, okay, I'll join it. It's like the lottery, right? Somebody wants to pay $2,000 for a picture that's sitting on my hard drive. Hell yeah, I'll do it. But it's like anything else. Like, you have to put in the work. And I guess I wanted the discussion to, because I know, like, Shannon, you're like a professional photographer, and I'm sure there's a lot of people here that like I might want to go into photography, and there's probably a lot of people that are watching YouTube that are aspiring to go into photography. So I was wondering, should they start in the NFT space? Is that the way of the future, or should they maybe start and put out the work the old-fashioned way, like the way that most of us did it, social media, and then even sell like their pictures? Like, has anybody here sold their pictures on a stock agency, or like in any kind of marketplace? Or what's been your experience doing that? Is it like a dying market, that kind of stuff? Like, I don't know.
I know for myself,
talk about that.
For myself, I was with Getty Images. They got rid of their rights management contracts. So I was making a little bit off of the rights management and that, and then they got rid of that, and I was making $1.25 off of one image, and it's just like, no, this isn't worth it.
That's why I quit too.
It was exclusive rights for them, and it's like, no, like for $1.25, I'd rather have that on my own hard drive doing doing stuff I want to do with it,
But
right?
you can buy Timmy's with that.
Well, and I mean, like when I was on there, like I couldn't put any of my photos in any contests. I couldn't sell it to anybody else. So yeah, so I've got a few other routes that I'm going to sell my images for commercial purposes. But yeah, like from a selling standpoint, I mean, for anybody getting into photography itself, learn your camera, learn your you know, taking photos, learn about composition, you know, rule of thirds, all that kind of stuff, all that good stuff. You know, that's all the basics, right? Yeah, and then I mean, if you're interested in learning about NFTs and stuff, learn about cryptocurrency. Learn, you know, get in the Twitter spaces, start learning there. Like, there's a ton of people there who are willing to share the information. I mean, feel free to DM me and reach out, and I'll do what I can to help out. So that's my advice.
I just got an update from TWN. There's a mass casualty event now.
Yeah, I saw that. I was gonna say that.
Got ahead of you. No, but in all seriousness, trying to hit a nursing home, 2 dead, 20 trapped, and 7 severely injured. So yeah, this is a bad night down there.
Is that a picture, Brayden? Holy crap.
Wow. Yeah, that's the
And
nursing
it's at
home.
night too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just retweeted a shot. Oh, let me see. Ooh.
Yeah, I just saw some images on Twitter. I saw one that Reed had of the tornado still ongoing. It looks massive.
I was wondering if I could maybe Jordan and Ryan, you want to tune in on that just to keep the conversation going a little bit, because I know Ryan, he streams through Severe Studios, right? And Jordan, you're kind of doing your own thing through Facebook. I forgot what Facebook calls it, but when you send stars or whatever, you get paid through Facebook Live videos now. So
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, can you guys comment on that? Like, is that, you know, worth going into? How's that been going for you guys?
Like the live streaming part?
Yeah, because I know like Severe Studios, they license it out sometimes, right?
I've had my footage a couple times actually now. Never in Canada yet, but in the States. Corey Hartman, the one that runs, he runs Severe Studios and does the broker for it as well. For the most part, I just do what I do just for the fun of wanting to do it. And if money comes my way, yay. that's how I look at it.
And
What
as
about
far,
you, Jordan?
yeah, for me, like, I mean, if your Facebook page is eligible for stars or fan subscriptions and stuff, I'd say, like, definitely go for it. It doesn't hurt. Live streaming with Facebook stars sometimes, if you got a good stream going on, can be a pretty good productive day. Like, I've noticed lately doing like the winter stuff, like freezing rain on the highways or blowing snow and stuff. A lot of followers tend to really send a lot of stars in for that. Just they appreciate the updates for the highways and everything. And yeah, like if you're eligible for it, definitely give it a shot, because it doesn't hurt having. I mean, it's not going to make you rich or anything by any means, but it doesn't hurt having the extra cash in your pocket either.
I guess we're running pretty late now. I feel like everybody's getting tired, so maybe we'll end up the discussion here. I always try to address this point, and I think everybody here has been asked this question at some point. I'd like to, because we still have 40 people watching, so I'd like to maybe do a roundtable of everybody can say like a 5-second, 10-second thing about, for people that are watching that are interested in going into storm chasing, what would be your advice for these people? Maybe you can, I don't know how you're seeing it, but I'm seeing Travis as the top left. So maybe Travis, you can kick it off. What are your advice for basically newbie storm chasers or people looking into getting into storm chasing?
Yeah, do your homework first. And I would go out for the first time or the first several times with somebody who has experience and knows what they're doing. That's how I got started. And that's how I would suggest anyone does. So I would take anyone with me just to stop someone from going out on their own and putting themselves in front of something they shouldn't put themselves out in front of.
That's exactly what I was.
Anybody who wants to just interject, just go ahead.
I would say it the same way. I had Natani Bariasa. He pretty much mentored me for the first couple of years. Then I got to go with him on the to see what's in the textbook versus what's actually happening out in the field, and it really opens your eyes and gets everything working to where you can safely do it on your own.
I'm always do what I say, not what I do. So I always recommend that people connect with a seasoned chaser, learn the ropes so they don't put themselves in a dangerous position. That being said, I was chasing severe weather when I was like 12 years old on my pedal bike. So
I'd just like to...
I didn't quite self-teach myself the right way.
I think Jordan has a similar story, right?
Oh, me?
Jordan, I think like you have something, like, didn't you see your first tornado on a bike, or was that somebody else?
No, I think that's Justin you're thinking of.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to add, though, on top of what Travis, Ryan, and Jenny all said, is there's a ton of like storm chasing tour companies out there too that people should check out too. Like there's ETT and Silver Linings and all them. I run kind of more personal tours myself, and yeah, check out storm chasing tours in the States, or just link up with a seasoned chaser for sure.
Yeah, I want to just interject as well. There's the U of M has the storm chasing course as well, right? And I took that in 2011. We didn't see a tornado, unfortunately, but we did see a lot of good storms, and it was definitely a good learning experience, and definitely for forecasting and that kind of a thing. So definitely wanted to add that as well. I think they do it every 2 years, so keep an eye out for that.
They did announce that I believe they were trying to do it this year at the U of M, and that one's really immersive for people looking to learn more the like dynamic side of things. They'll teach you a ton through that. I, starting out, went on a tornado tour in the States. I went with ETT, and I learned everything from that tour was through Dave Holder. He was a great meteorologist and great mentor.
I was going to mention the U of M course as well, because I did my whole degree there. But if you're just looking to go on a tour, it's oftentimes a much more affordable option. I think the fees for the course is, I don't know the exact figure, it's roughly $1,000, but not only do you get to go chasing for a week with experts, but you also get to take the course. So it's affordable and also very educational.
Yeah.
I'd say learn how to survive with your blood being 50% caffeine. Because there's
and gas station sandwich.
Yeah.
Burritos.
Gas station sandwiches.
Oh yeah, no, don't eat those. Do not eat those. That's my for number one. Do not eat the gas station anything.
Stay away from Alsa.
Right, like that 2016 storm.
No,
I remember.
Died.
The gas station wasabi will just kill you. I can guarantee you that.
Do not eat the gas station sushi. That's like,
God.
The pickle in a
You only
bag.
live once.
I like to hear maybe like Dave, do you want to add anything, or Kyle maybe? Because Dave, you don't do it for a living. Kyle kind of does. So maybe Kyle, you can interject, and then Dave, like you have so much experience about forecasting and the severe weather, so maybe you can point people in the right direction if they want to start off by learning like severe weather. Like, is there any cool tools online that you would recommend to go and check out and start learning about forecasting and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, things have changed so much. I mean, when I started chasing, when I first started to be able to drive, there wasn't internet, right? So it was a different world back then. I just had my
paper maps.
My National Audubon Society weather book, and that was about it. But yeah, there's so much content out there. If you go to the SPC site in the States, there's the whole tornado training course that's online. I mean, you can't get much better than that. So there's just all kinds of great content on how to understand storms and how to forecast, but also how to be safe when you are chasing. And so anybody who's just starting out, there's just no end to available information on how to do it right. So, maybe don't watch the chasers that are taking a lot of risks and think you could do that right away. Start just
But
reading.
it's a room
reading
full of
some the more
chasers,
cautious
Dave.
stuff first.
Yeah, pretty much.
Don't watch any of us.
Yeah, right.
Don't leave for Oklahoma by yourself in your own little car like I did and scrap your car on the
Don't do
first
like Braden. Don't take Kansas mud roads.
I mean, you have to make your own mistakes as you're coming up. Obviously, and that's part of the fun of it as well, right? But just know that there's just a lot of information, a lot of people willing to help and guide you. So there's just no shortage of information, and make the best of it.
And drive your car responsibly too.
Yeah.
And
Don't look at radar scope while driving.
I don't do that. Shut up. I was gonna say the one thing just to get prepared for, you're probably not going to make a living at it. I've seen a lot of people thinking they're going to make a living at storm chasing, and literally I can count on like one hand the number of people that make a living purely off of chasing, and most of that.
And 2 of them are in here.
Yeah. I mean, and it's only a part of the job, right? It's not like I just get to do nothing but chasing. There's a ton of other stuff that gets done. So it's not a job like that you can absolutely make money at. Like I've seen too much of that lately. People thinking that they're going to, get a television show or something like that and make a ton of money off it. Just do it because it's awesome.
It's not a job, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of money.
Yeah, it's an expensive hobby, even if when you add in photography in there too.
Even if you don't add photography, it's super expensive.
Yeah, just gas money. And
Hotel money, restaurant money. Oh my god, never
And with
ends.
gas prices right now, I don't know. I might have to sell a kidney this year.
Yeah, Canadian versus US. Oh god, we're never gonna. Yeah.
I slept under my car at least once while chasing because I had to choose between whether I had enough gas to make it back to Canada, or enough money to make it back to Canada, or a hotel room. So I chose the gas to get back to Canada and slept underneath my car in a state park.
Underneath? Why?
Yep.
Underneath?
Yeah. Why underneath?
Because I had to sort of pull the tent over the edge and sort of tucked myself under there so I could stretch out.
Oh, gotcha.
So nobody go chasing with Mark, I think, in the States.
That sounds like the best camping trip ever.
Honestly, with some of those hotels down in the States, I would rather stay in my vehicle.
Yeah.
Jenny and I did that for a week in Alberta this year. Just just going from town to town and place to place, and it was awesome.
Wait, be careful what you say about Alberta.
We discovered about Alberta, they didn't have much for showers. Like campgrounds in Saskatchewan have showers. They don't in Alberta.
You went on your roof. Just bring it with you.
Yeah, next time.
Quebec showers. Quebec has the best campsites. I will just put that out there. Quebec is best for camping.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Have to try it out.
No.
I'm not sure about that.
We go to Saguenay every year, and
no, you're talking about way up north, like way up north.
That's a tourist trap.
Yeah. That's a beautiful part of Quebec. Yeah, not where the tornadoes happen usually.
Hey, I went storm chasing in Saguenay. I did.
Yeah.
I really did. It was nice. Big storms go by. So I did it.
All right. Well, I guess we are 5 minutes from 10 p.m. and I think it's about time to cut it off. Unless anybody has any other pressing matters that they want to add to this. Should we do
I just wanted to do like a huge thank you to you guys. This is really fun. For the season that we had, this was kind of the cherry on top of the nothing cake. So thank you.
Yeah, you know what? I'll say the same thing. Francis has been great, and I'm gonna just throw out a huge apology to everybody for the disaster that I am. and just miss being late and stuff. So I apologize, but Francis, it's been absolutely awesome. It's been really, really great, and so good to actually talk to people and see people across the country. So like we've had storm chase things here in Ontario, but you don't get the chance to see all the people like from anywhere outside of like, I don't know, 20 minutes from Toronto. So it's been fantastic to see everybody from across the country. So well done, Francis. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Francis and Scott. And another thing I note about storm chasing too is just how important like all we like play a part of in informing the public. Like we're a big part of getting those warnings out that keep people safe. And yeah, that's another big part of it, that if anyone is looking to get into it, you're going to be a part of something greater. And if you understand the dynamics of the storm, you can be a big part in getting those warnings out to everybody.
Dave, I think that's his pitch to become a super contributor to NTP.
Yeah, it's a fun place to be.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for joining, and I appreciate, I mean, it was 2 hours in, so it was fun. I could keep going all night, I think. And thanks, Scott, for helping me organize this. And maybe we can turn this into a yearly gathering and have more people next year join Zoom.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's been great.
That was a
I
lot
want
of
to
fun,
have
everyone.
something to show for once. You know.
Quick
That'll be
question
a
for
great season.
Travis. Is that tornado behind him the Darcy one?
Yeah.
He's really quick
That
to
was an
frame
awesome
those.
tornado.
So just before we go, quick shout out. Shannon, your photos are incredible. I don't want to learn, what are they, NFTs? What are they called?
NFTs? Yeah.
Yeah, just before they crack down so that I can steal yours. I don't care about my own.
Well, I can tell you how to do that, but I could sue you. So
Also, Jenny, your Blizzard video, awesome.
Let's see if we
Yeah, I
get any
saw
more
that.
this year.
Is it the Weather Network that picked up the where like the blooper where you were falling? You got pushed. You were skating or something in the blizzard, and
Yeah,
then
I
you like
was-
fell off.
I strapped on my figure skating dress. I haven't worn that thing in like 20 years.
that
And my
was
skis
awesome.
pranced around in the middle of the street. So I can't wait to see. I don't know. We got to try some curling for some blizzards. I don't know what else.
Yeah.